We'll call the meeting back to order. It is 6 o'clock. So the first item is notice of public meeting to consider application MV 4/2025 located at 110 Jameson Street in Elsa Craig. And is the applicant here? There's no one here for the applicant.
I believe they're online.
Do we have them online?
Okay, hello?
What's a different?
Can you hear us online?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Chair Ropp. So the minor variance is for 110 Jameson Street in Elsa Craig, which is located on the southeast corner of Jameson Street and Church Street. The lands are approximately 0.14 acres in size, and surrounding uses are predominantly residential in nature. The lands are designated in the official plan as residential, and they are also zoned in the zoning bylaw as residential density zone 1. There is currently one single detached dwelling on the property, as well as one storage shed and one pergola. And this minor variance is required to facilitate the construction of a 50 square foot unenclosed covered front porch attached to the existing dwelling. So I'm just going to pull up the rendering for you here. So it's just for this 50 square foot jut out here. So the lands are located on a corner lot, which means that the bylaw classifies the shortest lot line as the front lot line. So in this case, Jameson Street is technically the front lot line and Church Street is technically the exterior side lot line. However, I would note that to the general public passing by, they probably assume that Church Street is the front lot line, as that's the direction that the house is oriented. To construct the porch, relief is required to recognize the existing exterior side yard setback of the house, which is 2 meters, whereas 3 meters would be required if it was built to today's standards, and to permit for an increased setback encroachment of 1.525 meters into the existing 2-meter setback. Landowners within 60 meters of the property and agencies were circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. No concerns were noted with the requested relief by members of the public or circulated agencies. Most importantly, no concerns by the Infrastructure and Operations Department from a sightline and road safety perspective. County Emergency Services did provide a standard comment that the owner shall ensure that municipal 911 signage is posted in accordance with required municipal standards. And the chief building official did request a condition of approval that a survey to confirm the setback of the house and the encroachment of the eaves and stairs be provided. So it's staff's opinion that the 4 minor variance tests set out in the Planning Act are met for the reasons outlined in detail in my report. In my opinion, the proposed covered porch is modest in scale and size. It's not anticipated to negatively impact properties abutting when considering shadowing and privacy. Also, I have noted that there are no concerns from the Infrastructure and Operations Department with sightlines and safety. And in my opinion, the proposed porch will overall enhance the appearance of the dwelling by improving the facade and the overall curb appeal and aesthetic. So my recommendation is that the relief be granted with the conditions as I have noted. And I am here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ashley. At this time, as the applicant, anything you'd like to add?
Ashley's covered everything that we had requested. Nothing to add at this moment.
Okay, thank you. I have to ask again, is there anyone from the public who has any comments on this? Seeing none? Council, any questions? Comments? Councilor Irwin?
Can I move the recommendation, Your Worship?
Okay, moved by Councilor Irwin, second by Councilor Nerda. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is notice of public meeting to consider application MV 3/2025 located at 5242 Elginfield Road. Is the applicant here for that? Would you like to come up, sir? If you give your name, please, and we'll. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ashley, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Ropp. So this minor variance is for 5242 Elginfield Road, which is located west of McGuire Road and on the north side of Elginfield. The lands are approximately 1.72 acres in size and surrounding uses are predominantly agricultural in nature. The lands are designated in the official plan as agricultural and they are zoned in the bylaw as general agricultural. There is currently one single detached dwelling and one hobby greenhouse on the property. So this minor variance is required to facilitate the construction of a detached garage to be used for personal storage purposes. The garage will also have solar panels on the roof. And to construct the garage, relief is required to permit an increased height for the accessory structure of 7.9 meters, whereas for a residential property, 5.5 meters is permitted. I would note if it was an agricultural drive shed on an agricultural parcel, it would permit up to 10.5 meters, but being residential, it's only 5.5. It will also reduce the rear lot line setback from 3 meters to 2 meters. Landowners within 60 meters of the property and agencies were circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. No concerns were noted by members of the public or by the circulated agencies. Emergency Services did provide a standard comment, just noting that the 911 signage shall be unobstructed and visible from the road allowance. And the chief building official did request a condition of approval that the setback, including the eaves trough, be confirmed. They also did note that they must meet the Ontario Building Code setbacks for a septic system. So it is staff's opinion that the 4 minor variance tests set out in the Planning Act are met for the reasons outlined in more detail in my report. But overall, the structure will be located in an agricultural area, will be screened from eastbound traffic with the location of the existing dwelling, and from both eastbound and westbound traffic by existing mature tree cover. Additionally, the structure will be set back approximately 250 feet from the edge of pavement of Elginfield Road. And in conjunction with the slope of the lands, the structure is not anticipated to detract from the streetscape. So my recommendation is that the relief be granted with the condition that it solely applies to the proposed accessory structure and not future structures.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there anything, sir, you'd like to add at this time?
No, I think Ashley's covered it all.
Okay, thank you. In our written application, we've only got one from ABCA. Correct. And any public comments on this application? Seeing none? Council? Any questions? Okay, you're going to move it? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins. Is there any comments on it before we vote? All right, in favor of the motion? Carried.
All right.
Thank you.
This day and age is hard to keep that service.
Very nice to hear. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Very nice. You don't get more money for that, by the way. That was a nice compliment. Very nice to hear that. Notice of public meeting of application ZBA 7/2025 located at 187 Else Craig Main Street. And do we have the applicant with us here? Not online either?
The municipality is the applicant in this case.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Rupp. So the zoning bylaw amendment is initiated by the municipality, meaning that we are the applicant and not the private landowner. And it is for 187 Elsa Craig Main Street. The lands are approximately 0.42 acres in size, and the lands are designated in the official plan as a central area, and they are zoned in the zoning bylaw as residential commercial. Council may recall that the subject property was before the Committee of Adjustment in early 2023 for a severance to create one infill lot for future development purposes and a minor variance to facilitate that severance. The committee denied both applications, which were subsequently appealed to the provincial body, being the Ontario Land Tribunal. The Ontario Land Tribunal heard the appeal and granted the owner approval with conditions. The application proposes to implement a holding symbol on the severed parcel of that consent from 2023, which that portion of the parcel is approximately 0.19 acres in size. The hold will remain in place until such a time that the municipality is satisfied that satisfactory access is provided, that grading, drainage, and municipal servicing plans completed by a qualified engineer are approved, that the hydro service is removed or relocated, that the gas service is removed or relocated, that any architectural design guidelines outlined in the development agreement, which were a result of the settlement with the Land Tribunal, are adhered to and approval obtained as necessary, and that the development agreement that was entered into through that appeal process has been confirmed to be registered on title. This hold implementation will help satisfy condition M and Q of the consent, and no formal development plans for the severed parcel have been submitted to date. Landowners within 120 meters of the property and agencies were circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. No concerns were noted by the circulated agencies, and as per usual, County Emergency Services provided a standard comment just to note that the municipal signage must be posted unobstructed and visible from the road allowance. After the submission of my report, we did receive a letter of support for implementing the hold. The letter did also speak to support for the official plan review process to consider design parameters. Staff are generally very supportive of this. I think urban design is very important from a planning perspective. However, I would just note that recent provincial policies implemented have heavily restricted the scope of permitted studies and requests that we can be requiring at the municipal level. Most recently, actually just this week with Bill 17, they have explicitly removed the right for a municipality to require an urban design study as part of a complete application. We expect this to receive royal assent by Friday. Portions of the letter submitted also pertain to bylaw enforcement and not hold implementation specific for the application. So staff note that bylaw enforcement must be dealt with separately from this particular application. Formal complaints are to be submitted to the bylaw enforcement officer and fire prevention officer and are dealt with within their jurisdiction. In addition to the letter of support we've received, the same property owner and another neighboring landowner did reach out informally regarding potential site contamination. Staff have reviewed all available municipal records, and we are not aware of site contamination at this point in time. However, I would note, has also something I've been confirming with the chief building official, but that if contamination is identified during the development process, this is not something that's under our municipal or our county jurisdiction. It's actually under the provincial jurisdiction with the Ministry of the Environment. So the ministry is responsible for ensuring that any contamination is properly assessed and, if necessary, remediated in accordance with their provincial environmental regulations. In conclusion, staff support the holding symbol being placed on the severed parcel as it ensures that key technical and servicing matters are addressed prior to any future development proceeding. The proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and is in conformity with the Middlesex County and North Middlesex official plans. And I would just note that the hold essentially just more formally recognizes the requirements to develop that parcel. These things are all stuff that would be required regardless, but it does kind of give the municipality an extra layer of protection and also provides transparency to the future developer of their obligations. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you. So there's no applicants. So any public comments on this? Would you like to come up, please, and give your name? Just turn on the microphone, Joe.
Your worship, my name is John Mombrikat, and I'm here with my partner, Anna Marie Duffy. And we're residents of 191 Elsa Craig Main Street, which is the property bordering 187 and the severed lot. We were the authors of the letter that was sent to council. And we do agree with the concept of the hold. It is, as Ashley noted, it's good planning and good movement forward on the part of the municipality to ensure that this property is built to the highest standards. We also noted in it, and she's quite correct, this is beyond the subject of the bylaw itself, but it does have implications for future bylaw enforcements once the buildings are built, is the importance of sound bylaw enforcement by the municipality, but also for the fact that urban design and also a urban design plan for the city overall or for the town overall is really critical as we move forward. I'm not going to refer to the letter that I wrote because you have it on file, but I do want to make a few oral comments, if I may, and they're not specifically to the idea of the build itself, but it is some observations that myself and other neighbors have had of this particular property. And it's to flag council as a whole of some of the issues that could come about if this property is developed in the future. I should note that Anna Marie and I are not against good development. If there was a development coming in here that met all the criteria that the town placed for a development, then we would have no difficulty with it. And we would just simply follow the bylaws. However, based on our observations over the past 2 years and conversations with the residents of the rooming house at 187 Elsa Craig Main Street and the immediate neighbors, and given the current disarray inside and outside of 187 Main Street, coupled with the transient nature of the rooming house, the likelihood that any development done by the current owner would not reach these high standards. Matter of fact, our concerns would be pretty well much the same as what we see on a day-to-day basis. Through conversations within the neighborhood, we have learned of, and it was noted in part by Ashley, but if a buried gasoline tank that was that long-term residents of the neighborhood know was put in, not with any municipal input or structural overview. It was used to refuel buses that were operated out of the 187 property and the barn that's next to it. And this tank has never been removed and never been mitigated. As a matter of fact, from what we understand, is that there were vents previously that were the mitigation, but those vents have been removed by the current owner. In addition, there is a bicycle business that is operating inside of the barn, and to our understanding that there are acetylene tanks within that building. So there are neighborhood concerns, certainly about health and safety within the immediate neighborhood. We also know that we have no idea if this was something that was authorized by council or not, but the original parking area to 187 Main Street was significantly expanded by the current owner at some point over the last several years. And from what we've heard from conversations with residents of the rooming house, the living conditions within the rooming house are questionable at best and need to be proactively inspected. There are issues to do with pests, rodents, and of course, the fire department has actually been in there to take a look at some issues within the building. Given that what we know of 187 Main Street is critical that if any development goes ahead, and this is just a flag, yes, I understand the changes that have occurred with provincial legislation. Yes, I understand the limitations on the municipality. However, be that as it may, this would not be a good development. This would be a development that might pose risks to the immediate community. And it would be a development that, to be all honest, would not improve property values. And I'm going to be frank, takes advantage of the disadvantaged. The health and safety of the residents within a rooming house, as well as the neighborhood as a whole, deserves the highest attention and priority of council. It will be the responsibility of council to ensure that any issues connected with any development of this property does not happen through strict adherence to proper site planning and enforcement of current and future bylaws within the parameters set by the province. And those are my comments. If there's any questions from council, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And I think there may be some answer to some of the things you pointed out. I will say, as you know, John, we did refuse this application
Oh, I know.
to the point, and then there was some wins in it, but with what happened over it, with some of the things that we were able to get, but we couldn't stop the building of it.
Mhm.
And I think it is on us to make sure that is right. I don't know if we have any real answers to what you've asked. I know
No.
the fire chief has been in there
Yep.
along with the inspector, and I think they had some points, and I won't discuss what isn't open, but just some things that they wanted addressed. I believe that was the case. And as far as the fuel tank, that will have to go through site plan and stuff, will it not? Ashley, just commend me when that would be actually looked at.
Yeah, so through Chair Rob, so previously we did have the authority to require a formal site plan application process for essentially any number of units. Municipalities often exempted single detached and semi-detached. With changes that the provincial government made a couple years ago, we can no longer formally require a site plan control process for 10 units or less. However, placing the hold on this property does give us the when they go to remove it, give us the tool to ask for a concept plan and that sort of thing. Anything that they develop is going to have to be in accordance with the provincial standards and regulations today, the fire code, the Ontario Building Code, and that sort of thing. And then when it comes to actually soil remediation, if any contamination is discovered closer towards the building permit side of things, then that goes through the ministry. We unfortunately don't have pull with that.
Okay. Okay, questions? Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, just for clarification, since we're talking about the fuel tank, is that on 185 or 187 House of Craig Main Street? Is it on the existing property?
It's on the existing
The
property,
existing
what we
property.
know
Nothing to do with the new lot or the separate.
No, it's on the
Correct.
current lot, but
Correct.
we don't know how far it goes. And that's the issue, to be honest with you.
Okay, Counselor Daigle.
Same question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this? And we are strictly dealing with this part of it here tonight. Okay, is there any other questions here? Any questions for John or for Ashley? Seeing no others? Thank you, John.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no others, we have a recommendation in front of us on this application. Counselor Irwin,
I'll move the recommendation, Your
moving the
Worship.
recommendation, second by Counselor Daigle. All in favor? Carried. That is carried. Thank you. Our next one, we do have to adjourn our public meeting, including Committee of Adjustment, and convene as regular meeting. Counselor Daigle, Counselor Nerda, all in favor? Carried. Delegations. We don't have any department reports. The first one is a report from the planner on 111 Craig Street. And that is the B6 2025 and ZBA for 2025. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Mayor Robb. So as noted, the subject lands have a municipal address of 111 Craig Street, and they're located at the northwest intersection of Craig Street and Church Street in Elsa Craig. The application proposes to implement a hold on the large future development parcel, which is outlined in yellow on the map before you. And that will only be removed once satisfactory access is confirmed, which includes upgrading Craig Street to municipal standards. Once a servicing plan completed by a qualified engineer is provided to the satisfaction of and approved by the municipality. Once municipal services are installed or an agreement is entered into for the installation. Once the owner submits confirmation from a qualified professional that the previously completed record of site condition is sufficient or whether additional site remediation is required. I would just note that that record of site condition was completed in 2013. And once the owner enters into a development agreement with the municipality, which outlines all their development obligations and requirements. So this application also allows for townhomes to be considered on that yellow parcel there, as currently the zoning only permits for apartments. And it does recognize the existing one apartment building that's left on the severed parcel outlined in red. So as council may recall, we did hold a public meeting for the severance and the zoning bylaw amendment for the subject lands on April 9th. So the purpose of this evening is just to bring the zoning bylaw portion back before council. So typically I wouldn't provide you a full-blown report as I did. However, we did make some changes as a result of that public meeting. However, it's really just one slight amendment to the bylaw that was made, being that the applicant's no longer requesting site-specific relief for that developable parcel. This addresses both staff comments and ABCA comments, and any future development may apply for site-specific relief in the future once we actually have a firm concept plan or development plan in place. Notice was circulated to the property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands, as well as agencies prior to the public meeting on April 9th, and we have not received any additional comments from either members of the public or agencies since that date. So I am recommending that we support this requested amendment to ensure that the technical and servicing matters are addressed prior to any future development proceeding. And in my opinion, it's consistent with the applicable policies. Thanks.
Any questions for Ashley on this? No questions? I would have one. It's in white, just a line below the red. That's private property, correct? Like that is not Church Street coming through there.
Based on the information I have access to, yes, it is private property.
Okay, thank you. So they'll have to find access to that severed property.
So we did consult with County Legal Services, who has confirmed that the Craig Street Road allowance does provide them legal access. It actually extends farther up than you would think. So they do have legal frontage. It's just when they go to develop that parcel, we need them to upgrade that road to municipal standards at that time.
Okay, thank you. So it does, Craig Street extends far enough. Okay, thank you. Any other questions here for them? If not, we have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Counselor Daigle, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Report from the Manager of Public Works, and that is purchase a new half-ton pickup.
Through your worship and to council, council received this board DIO 35/2025 regarding the purchase of a new half-ton pickup for information. This report provides an update to council on the purchase of a new half-ton pickup for the Public Works Department. This was approved in the 2025 capital budget item. The Public Works Department reached out to 4 different dealerships for quotes. And we got one quote from one dealer and the other three declined in emails saying they are not doing quotes right now for any 2025 pickups. I am available for any questions.
All right, questions from council? Councillor Daigle.
Just quickly, do you know why nobody else is wanting to bid?
Through your worship to the counselor. So yeah, in the email, they said that they're not doing any quotes for any 2025s because they're not doing any bids, building any right now, and they're not going to quote for 2026 until July. So if we July this year.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councillor Nerda, seconded by Councillor Irwin. All in favor? Carried. Our next is a report from Director of Economic Development, and that is on the electronic facilities.
So Mayor Ott, members of council, the report in front of you is a report outlining staff's intention to sole source the access control, which was a capital budget item for 2025. During the budget deliberations at budget committee, staff cut this number from around 100,000 to 50,000. So with the 50,000, what we're looking to do is get the access control through our community centers, as well as our main entrance points of arena, shared service center, etc. Why we are looking to sole source it is Salto Pro Access is currently what we use at the fire hall. It's been quite reliable for us so far. It's functioned the way we want to see our facilities function. So since JPW is currently managing that system for us, we just want to expand on our current system rather than go out to tender and have a potential different system come in and have two parties managing separate items. So if there's any questions, so this 50,000, it will be selected by staff on how far it takes us, and then whatever is remaining, we will bring back to budget 2026.
So just before I turn it over, would it's not the same fob though for different buildings, right? It's still coded individually.
So since it is the same system, it's one fob and you can get access to whatever we assign you. I could give you access to one door of one facility, or I could give you access to all doors of all facilities through the fob. It's how it's coded.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure that it was. Councillor Nerda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brandon, by just sole sourcing this to JPW, could we not be missing out on some cost saving alternatives?
Potentially there is some cost savings, and maybe the money would go a little bit further with a different party, or perhaps it would be JPW who ends up with it. It's tough to spec it because we would say, okay, we want this many doors, and we tender it out. And then the money that comes, or the bids that come back, may say, okay, that's 38,000. We say, okay, well, now we want to issue another tender for the next 12 to see how far it would take us. My comfort level with the company is we know they did a good job at the fire hall. I know what we're working with. I fear that if we go out to tender, we may not get a favorable contractor in that sense.
Thank you, Brandon.
Okay, go ahead.
I would just
Karen.
like to comment too, that obviously when we did the fire hall, it was awarded based on a competitive tender process. I realize it wasn't just for the fobs, but it was part of the whole package. So there was a competitive tender process applied to them already. So it could certainly be assumed that we have already followed that process.
Okay, Councillor Canellison.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Brendan, if I understand you correctly, like when you said, made reference to the shared services center, would each staff person then have a fob?
That is correct.
So in total, how many fobs do you anticipate will be issued for the shared services and all whatever facilities you determine to utilize?
It's hard to estimate because when somebody rents our facility, they'll be going to a fob instead of a key. What I can say is the cost of a fob, I think, is like $2 a fob. So it'll be built into the rental cost of the facilities.
And if the fob is not returned, then you have the ability then to cancel the.
Yes, I can delete
position?
them right out of the system, update the system, and they'll have no access.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? No other questions? We do have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hodgins, seconded by Councillor Irwin. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have one more, and that is from Director of Finance, and that is citywide budgeting. Sorry, FMW PSD citywide. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Your Honor. Through you to the council, the report in front of you is to approve the charter that was circulated, which describes the product that we're looking to pursue. It is part of the PSD suite of operations that are available that we're currently using citywide for our asset management program. FMW, which stands for the Financial Management Workbench, consists of a number of different pieces that are focused predominantly on budgeting, but support reports and variances. The modules that will be included in this are operating plan, the capital plan, a separate salary plan, a fund manager for reserves, and then a value-added feature and services, which references to their report writer that allows us to create templates for quarterly reports, variance reports, the budget itself, the financial statements, the FIR that we submit to the province. Once those templates are in place, it's just simply a matter of picking what fiscal period you're wanting to report on, and dependent on the person who is pulling the report and their rights in the system, what they can see in terms of what departments, what timeframes in those matters. The other advantage of this system is that it will remove the non-financial staff out of the database that is in Vadim iCity, which is our main financial system. It's our main system of record. So having non-financial people in there entering budget numbers, doing other types of reporting and things of that nature, then means that you now have some suspicion as to the integrity of your financial information. So best practice is move them next door to a reporting system like FMW, let them have at it. They get updates nightly of everything that has gone through Vadim or citywide, where our asset management program is going to be resident, so that they actually are working with live time information, but they can't alter any of that information. They can't add or subtract to it. So that means the integrity of the data in the financial system is protected. It also means that we have the better ability to do what ifs. What if there's a 10% increase in this specific cost? What happens if the collective agreement goes this way versus that way? You can do those type of things through the salary plan. You can do various things through the capital plan attached to the asset management program to come up with 1, 5, 10, 50-year capital projections based on different assumptions for different inflation rates or discount rates or whatever the mood swings us. So it ends up being a powerful tool for management decision-making, and it at the same time allows staff who are inputting data not to have to worry about their data getting distorted after the fact.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions, Council Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. How much training will staff require to utilize this system?
Through the mayor to the councillor, it will depend on the purposes of the person's access. For someone who is, say, a councillor and just accessing reports, it will be limited to learning how to navigate and how to pull up and fill in the downloads that have to be done so that you can get the report that you're looking for. That's probably 2 to 3 hour training session. For the people who will be inputting budgets and information of that nature, there is probably going to require 2 to 3 days of learning the ins and outs of how do we do budget spreading? How do we do inputs of inflationary factors and things of that nature? So depending on how sophisticated we want our budgets to be, will depend on how much training we do. We'll probably start with the basic training that's provided through the charter, And then as we get more versed in it and we clean up our other backlog so that we're actually dealing with good information as the base, then it's basically a case of however much time you want to learn spend on learning how the program works. It will allow you to do that. And a lot of it is self-directed. Matter of fact, the report writer on this, I taught myself how to use while I was at the County of Lambton. And it was a case of just go in and work with it. You can't break anything. So it's trial and error for some things. Other things, it's templates that you just utilize. But I would say overall training, over and above what's already included in this package, there might be 3 or 4 people who will want to take it further than that.
Okay, then my final question is, and we've heard a great deal about Vadium, I think, in the past few months. How challenging is it to become familiar with this system versus Vadium?
Night and day.
Okay,
If I can just comment to that, we all know that I'm not a financial guru by any stretch of the imagination or a computer genius, but I've used FMW and I found it easy to navigate. And I think staff would laugh at that because I am certainly not a computer genius whatsoever. So
right. Thank you.
Other questions from council on this? So this is in the budget in part of the,
Correct. We put approximately $75,000 into the budget for this type of software. It makes sense to go with PSD since we're already there for citywide and we're already comfortable with that document. There's at least 3 people in the room who've already used FMW, so we know what we're getting. The issue becomes that it's going to be a little bit more than 75 when we put everything together because there is an annual recurring fee that puts us over by a little. Therefore, as you'll note, I've committed to making sure I find some savings elsewhere to cover it off so that the bottom line is still in the black.
I will say that when you say a little, I feel more comfortable than when Brandon says a little. Just so you know, either Brandon for that matter. Is there any other questions? I just wanted to point out that it is already in the budget. Councilor Daigle, you're moving the recommendation. Councilor Nerda, you're seconding. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Ralph. Committee reports. Lake Huron Primary. Oh, John's not here. Sorry. ABCA. Adrian, or pardon me, Councilor Canelson.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Yeah, I just wanted to make mention that, and I believe, Mayor Rob, you have been invited on Saturday, June the 14th for the Villas Family Wildlife Area. That's this land was donated to Asaba Bayfield, and there's going to be a dedication ceremony on that day at 11 o'clock at 35008 Lurie Road. If anyone's interested in attending, by all means do so.
Thanks, Adrian. Do we contact them directly? Just contact the ABCA?
No, I think you just show up, but you
Okay.
can do that. If you do, I can forward the email there. If there's a what you call it, a code reader there that you can register if you wish.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Councilor Canelson? Seeing none. Blue Water, Councilor Keogh is not here. Economic Development.
The next meeting is June 19th, Your Worship, in Elsa Craig.
Okay, thank you. Local School Advisory. And we have the agenda there. You have minutes there and some recommendations.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Your Worship. 4 items, and if you don't mind, I'll just go through them all in turn. First item is simply for information. It was the agenda for our meeting last week. I don't know if there's any questions on that, but we'll follow up on that with the 2 recommendations that came out of that. Second item for council for any questions or consideration is the minutes from the March 20th meeting. Just 2 items from that council might find interesting. The Bogline Smoke Show is mentioned in the minutes. That's coming up again on June 14th. But the proceeds from the smoke show is going to support programs for our 5 local schools, the 4 elementary and the secondary school, going to the Home and School Association and or the school councils for additional services to the school. So I think that's important to note. And we also did discuss at great length on the March meeting, and we're going to get to that in the recommendations coming up, out of district busing, paid busing to our Strathroy Secondary School and the challenges on program busing there. But I think that comes up in the recommendations that follow. To note, though, we did present at the Thames Valley District School Board on our plan that we talked about in council, sat beside the interim director of education, and we initially have a meeting on June the 11th to discuss out of district program busing. But I think other issues will be discussed at that meeting now, and we're going to get to that in item 3. But any questions on the
Any
minutes?
questions so far on this? Seeing none, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, number 3, I think everyone in council is aware the challenges that Thames Valley District School Board is currently facing. They have a very large financial challenge, and the province has placed them under receivership, which means that the trustees are now, for lack of a better term, in the penalty box. They're still trustees, but they don't have any official function at the school board. The supervisor that they've been placed under has their role, and part of his decision-making was to bring in a third party, PricewaterhouseCoopers, to review the overall financial position of the school board and recommend ways to find between $17 to $20 million to balance their budget. Report came out about 10 days ago. You've all seen copies of it now. I think it came out through the clerk's office. It's been posted online. It created a great deal of concern in our community, and a very passionate meeting, for lack of a better term, last week from the committee in terms of identifying a number of school properties that potentially could be sold, including 3 in North Middlesex. Interesting to note, only 4 of the properties identified in that list were outside of the City of London. One was a high school in St. Thomas, and the other were 3 of our properties. As you can see, that created a lot of concern from the committee. As I noted earlier, we do have a meeting already scheduled with the interim director of education on June the 11th. But the committee, the first recommendation here, I'm just going to pull it up. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry, is to immediately meet with the member of parliament, our MPP, followed by a meeting with the Minister of Education to discuss the report and the findings. Specifically, and I think because they're contrary to directions of the government of Ontario that wants to build home faster, rural economic development, and how could that happen in an environment where potentially, and we'll just use the word potentially, school properties could be sold. So there's a concern. It was felt that a motion and recommendation and a motion from council would strengthen that possibility of the meetings. As we noted in previous reports from the Local School Advisory Committee, we were planning to put a survey out to discuss the relationship between the community and the schools. That got nudged in terms of content at the last meeting, and it dealt more with how schools are a fabric of our community, concerns around what our community would be like without schools, etc. It was released about 24 hours ago. As of an hour ago, we've had 535 responses to the survey, which is a record. The community is really passionate about this issue. Many of you on council previously have dealt with the concerns around school closures in the past. There is a moratorium currently on school closures. However, this is a special case. We don't know where the province is going, and it was felt that we need to take action. So the first is a motion that we would like to see how council would support in terms of meeting with provincial representatives to investigate and discuss this issue.
Okay. Questions before we go any farther? Comments? Go ahead, Councillor Nerda.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. I just have a question. I don't know if you can answer it. Do you know when or if there'll be any chance for public comments. I've got a couple calls from ratepayers that would like to express their concerns and comments about this report.
Absolutely. So our second motion is calling for a public meeting. And we'd like to, I'll come to that in a moment if I may, because I'd like to talk about potentially having one after we have at least a meeting with either the interim director of education or the MPP. So we have a little more information to make the public meeting just a little more meaningful. But the second motion of the committee is just for that, is to have a public meeting.
Thank you.
I think we would add the county involvement in that as well to get county support on that. Not just, we want to make sure, I would say, start with economic development with Cara Finn, but and whoever else, like, we want to add the county in there for support as well. Go ahead.
If I just could make a comment to that as well, I would suggest that we invite our local MPP, we invite the Minister of Education. I mean, I think we invite everybody to hear what our community has to say. I'm not suggesting they will attend, but certainly wouldn't hurt to invite them all. It's really, you know, we don't have the answers, but we certainly want to facilitate our community to be able to have a say.
So just a comment to this, and it may not go over well with the people who did this report, but these are people who sit at a desk and never go outside, doesn't see what happens. So hopefully we got to help to push common sense to show that you can't kill communities sitting in a desk. So Deputy Mayor Hodgins, you wanted to, and I'll come.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I totally agree. And I mean, part of being part of that committee saying there the other night that we do have a meeting with our MPP and to go on with Karen says, yes, even invite the minister, all that shit. I think that's a super idea. But one of the things our trustee now works for our MPP in this area. Whether I don't know my thoughts on whether she should be present in that meeting or not. It's just, you know, I think maybe my suggestion would be to have the meeting with Steve without her being present, because there was some remarks made then, and I'll just leave it at that.
Councilor Daigle?
Thank you. I just want to say I support what Bill and his counselor, yes, and his group are putting forward. Yes, there is a moratorium, but the way government's going today, that might not mean anything. They might just Mr. Ford might look at this report and say, guess what?
But especially given our presentation to the school board, the last two times talking about our growth, this wasn't taken into account. I don't want to say too much or I'll get, go ahead, Councilor Canals.
Yeah, I would just like to maybe perhaps suggest to Councilor Irwin that he connect with our local trustee and to access the Rural Education Task Force report that we submitted to the various counties a number of years ago, because there's a lot of good information in there that the board was not supportive of, or the sister to Thames Valley School Board certainly wasn't. But I think there's a lot of good information in there that you could utilize as well.
And if I may, Councillor, I would say let's get Minister Flack involved as well.
Right.
He's also not maybe this part of Middlesex, but he is Middlesex Elgin, and he is the municipal affairs. And so he has a stake in this as well, because if this would happen with the schools, it certainly stops growth. But so go ahead with your second one now.
I might as well go with the second one. And just before I go on, just to let the committee know, the PricewaterhouseCoopers report potentially said to end special purpose busing for Beale, but it does not mention special purpose busing to Strathroy. And that program busing, I've got some numbers. There's 33 grade 8 students graduating this year from East Williams. 23 will be going to Strathroy using that busing. Only 10 will be coming to North Middlesex. And it kind of surprises me. I'm not saying what those 23 students will be taking, but I'm sure they're not all taking technical courses, which is the reason why you get the special purpose busing to East Williams, which is an interesting figure. Anyways, the second one, goes to Council Nerd's earlier comment. We organize a public meeting, and all the discussion that we had earlier about who should come to that meeting, et cetera, I think is wonderful additions to the conversation. So if I may, Your Worship, I'd like to move both of these motions and seek support from council.
You're moving them? You're moving them, Councillor
I'll
Irwin,
move them both.
and seconding? Seconded by Councillor Nerda. In favor? I'm sure we are. Yep. Right.
Thank you. And I know we're already in contact with our MVP's office to set up a date ASAP to get this process started.
Thank you. And this is not a sprint. This may be a bit of a marathon working on it, but we'll just stay with it because it's too important to the community. And I think we talk about the high school, but imagine elementary school kids kindergarten kids going 2 hours on a bus. I mean, you better have, as we said, you better have washrooms and cots on that bus because they're going to be sleeping. And so, yeah, it's just not feasible. So, okay. After anything else on local school advisory? No?
We will share the survey results as they come in. It's hard to tabulate when you get over 500 responses in less than 24
Right.
hours, but we will be sharing that probably on an ongoing basis. I understand at least half of them have, we have one open-ended question and there's paragraphs of people are really passionate about this issue.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it should be. Councillor Nerda.
When does that survey close, Councillor Irwin?
We haven't set a closing date, but I'd like to take the data as it is to any provincial meetings or meetings with the school board trustees. We could keep it open. I'm sorry, with the director of education. We could keep it open, but we will take the data as it comes in because I think it tells a compelling story from our community.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Daigle.
Could I suggest that we go back and onto our website again and crank the people,
Well,
get them up and
remind them,
got
right,
500, but we
remind
can
them,
get 500 more easily, I'm sure.
One thing had this come up before the deadline for AMO conference, we would have certainly asked for a delegation and we did not because this wasn't there. But 15 minutes with the Minister of Education doesn't do much there. We're better to invite. I agree with the ministry.
I would go as far as to say this might be an issue that we want to go to Queen's Park to speak to him direct. So that's certainly something that, as the motion suggests, we may be doing. I think, quite frankly, in my experience, going to them at Queen's Park, you get their attention far more than 15 minutes at AMO.
Yeah, correct. All right, sounds good. Recreation Committee? Okay, policy? Okay. Fire Committee, anything to report?
Yes, our June 3rd meeting has been canceled, so please do not attend.
Thank you. Where am I? Budget Committee, Community Development Fund, Aqua Advisory, anything there? OPP Advisory Board.
Ooh, finally. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended our meeting a week ago today with our CAO. Thought it was a pretty good meeting. We did get, I want to thank, Mike Bernie and Morgan for doing the paperwork while the clerk of Middlesex Center, I think it was Jim Hudson, is that his name? Moved off, but Brianna now has come back into her place.
Okay,
And she will now be doing the paperwork of the minutes and all that now. So we got that kind of set, and all questions will now be fed to Brianna. Our detachment commander, Ross Stewart, was there, talking about the Middlesex calls. They said they're very, very busy. Over 13,000 calls already into May, so far this year. They're really working on the speeding, the seat belts, the impaired, and the distracted driver. They're the four main ones that they're really trying to get the officers to concentrate on. Talking about ride programs, he says one of his things he's trying to set up is one ride program per shift. And he says they've been trying to maintain that pretty good, and at all hours through the day and night. They just, it could happen at any time, so he's, so. One of the thing, a lot of things, we had an in-camera session with it, as, the auxiliary police, I do believe I've done, because I represent Luke Adolph, they have done a little walk around in Luke Adolph for Lock It and Lose It. And if they haven't come to Elsie Craig, they're going to do that in the next few days. Where the auxiliary police will be going around and talking to whoever wants their the door and just explain to them about vehicles. Other than that, a very good meeting. I think we're finally starting to get some structure to this committee, so I hope there's good things ahead. If there's anything else the CEO wants to add, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Thanks. So is this, just before I'll go to Counselor, is this board, like if there's concerns that we have or questions we have, we give them to you and you put through to the clerk and then it goes to the meeting?
If there wants to go to clerk or necessary, I can go right to Ross, our detachment commander, and ask him.
Okay,
I actually have got one tonight that I'm going to go see him about shortly.
okay, thank you. Counselor Irwin.
Thank you, your worship. Through you, I want to thank the deputy mayor for his invitation to input comments around future planning for the board. And just to let him know, up until the recent school survey, the fastest survey we had response to was the road safety survey that we had 126 responses to, which speaks to enforcement, road speeds, et cetera. And I think that would be a good survey to take forward results to the OPB planning board that you're a member of, because it talks a lot about challenges of enforcement in our community.
Okay. Any other questions for the deputy mayor? Seeing none, I don't think we don't need to do another motion on correspondence. Or sorry, on the committee report, sorry. Correspondence, we have two pieces. One, the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, pause of Bill 5. Receive and file. Mud Creek Bluegrass Festival banner ad support opportunity. And this was not a request that came directly from them, correct?
We received it as part through you. We received it as part of a larger campaign that they're running an ad in the banner, and we received it as correspondence in effort to see if you would support.
So just Counselor Daigle.
I'd like to see us support it.
So just a comment I would make is, do you remember we did support them with the grant applications? I just wondered how much. Brandon.
So to clarify, I believe this is an ad in the banner, not an ad at Mud Creek.
Okay. So back to you, Counselor. You wish to support that?
I would like to support it.
Is there different levels in it? I didn't see the ad, so what's your recommendation or what's your motion?
I don't know. I don't think.
No. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Okay, so I pulled up the piece of correspondence that's listed on the agenda. There's full page, half page, vertical and horizontal, quarter page, and an eighth of a page. The base rate is for a full page, $999.99, half a page, $632, quarter of a page, $340, and an eighth of a page at $157.
Quarter page.
Go ahead, Felicia.
Through you, I had received an email from Mark, the editor, just stating that because we had sponsored the festival, we receive a 40% discount on the ad.
Okay, nice. You're saying a quarter page? Is there a seconder for that motion? That was a motion you make to support it with a quarter page ad. Okay, absolutely. I'd like to get a seconder first, but.
I'll second it, but I just a
Okay.
question, just number one to Felicia, number was the 40% on top of that price for our quarter page. So
Through
that's
you
basi-
to the deputy mayor, that's correct, yeah. So it'd be 40% off.
40% off.
40% off of a quarter page It's 40% off of 340.
Because I'm just thinking, I mean, if they're taking 40%, whatever, they're just like, I don't know, I'm just thinking this is a pretty good couple weekend. I'd at least like to see a half a page. If we can swing it. But yeah, I don't want. So do you want to, I will motion this if it gets defeated, but I would again like to make a motion.
Okay, but your motion is a quarter page ad.
I can bump it to half page.
You guys aren't poker players, are you? As I can tell. Okay, so is your motion a half page or quarter page? It's a half page? And you're seconding
I
that
will second that.
in favor of, okay, question? Go ahead.
Felicia, I have a question on this, and my question for you is this the best publication to advertise in, the banner? Like, would it also be in that Strathroy report that we give a penny saver every week? Will it be in there as well? Like, it's pretty well spread apart.
Through the mayor to the councillor. I think that it is a good advertisement through the banner, and I think the banner is showing support for these local events by providing discounts to businesses. So my recommendation would be to support it.
The banner.
Yes.
Okay.
So the motion is for a half page, to support for a half page ad. In favor of that motion? 1, 2, 3. No, I'm in favor of it. So 4 opposed. 2 opposed. It does carry. Go ahead.
Just one quick thing. I just would like to know what exactly you would like to see in the ad.
Counselor Irwin.
I think we should leave it up to our economic development and communication coordinator's professional judgment.
Okay, all right. That can be discussed offline anyways. Other and urgent business. Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the mayor and members of council, I just wanted to formally introduce Faisal, our new manager of infrastructure. I think most of you know him already, but if you haven't met him, he'll certainly be in attendance at more council meetings and you'll see him here more going forward. So I just wanted to formally introduce him. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Has everybody met Faisal? No? Okay. Go ahead, Faisal. Faisal has accepted a different position, correct?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the mayor and members of council, Faisal was an engineering technologist with us, and he's recently accepted a new position, which is the manager of infrastructure. So in essence, similar to what Brandon does, Brandon's sort of the manager of above ground stuff, and Faisal will be the manager of everything below ground and or water, wastewater related.
Perfect. Go ahead, Faisal, anything?
I want to thanks everybody to give me opportunity to work here. I have started as an engineering technologist, and within 6 months, I have got the role of a manager of infrastructure, and I will assure I will try my 100% best to give whatever has put on me. So I'll do my best.
Perfect. If you can convince these people all to wear red ties, you've got my vote. Welcome.
Thanks.
All right, any other business? Any other business? Counselor Nerda and then Counselor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question is for either our Director of Infrastructure or for Faisal, but
Just stay there.
whoever wants to answer. I noticed that we are doing some road work on our main street, which would result in some traffic disruptions. Were our main street businesses notified of such? Because I know that would impact their businesses.
Sam.
Through your worship to the councillor, so we received notice from the contractor Briex at the end of last week that they were going to be paving on Main Street to rectify some deficiency work. So through our economic development and communications coordinator, we did push out stuff on our website, banners, social medias, etc. We did not necessarily go knock door to door per se, but we did push through all of our standard channels that we do.
Moving forward, is it something that we could send out a mass email to business owners? I'm sure that we have some sort of contact information for our business owners.
Through your worship to the councillor, yes, that's something we can certainly look to do.
Thank you, Sam.
Counselor Daigle.
Thank you. I'm going over to the director, on the same ones we talked about last week, the water service. Has that been done yet?
Through your worship to the councillor, no, it unfortunately has not been. I've given direction to proceed as we've discussed. I've talked with both Burnham and Aqua about how we're going to do it, what we're going to do. Everyone's agreed to do it. I've continued to ask for a date and I've still not received one.
Who do you have to get the date from?
Through your worship to the councillor, it's through Burnham, the contractor.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not okay. These people are still dealing with
Right.
water issue. And everybody just keeps saying, we gotta wait and get this person's permission or this person's permission. Last meeting, we said we were gonna go ahead and do it and let the bill go where it goes afterwards.
And that was my understanding. Go ahead, Sam.
Through your worship to the councillor, what we've been discussing with Burnham again is because it's a construction project and there's warranties and things associated with it. They've agreed to do the work. They have the locates, which is why we are just assuming that they're doing it. If they're not doing it, we have to call on our own locates and it theoretically would take longer. So certainly our point, based on the last conversation I had with them, they had locates in place. It was going to be a lot quicker for them to do it. But at this point, I agree with what you're saying. But I've tabled to them as recent as this week that if they don't respond within the next couple of days, then that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll just expedite our own locates and go without them.
Go ahead.
Second question again, back on the sidewalk issue. How many people have we made special arrangements for on that sidewalk piece?
Through your worship to the councillor, so there was the one house where the driveway was over a foot lower than the sidewalk. That sidewalk has since been lowered. The second one at 101 Queen Street, the contractor has acknowledged that there was gravel washout, so they have some gravel work to do on both sides of the driveway that they have to fix. So far two properties.
I've been approached by one of the residents who said that he didn't get the same topsoil as everybody else to get that angle away from the sidewalk. He's looking for more topsoil, so it's easier to cut his grass because we've raised it.
Through your worship to the councillor. So the last bit of Queen Street work is supposed to be happening, notwithstanding the water service this week and hopefully early into next at the latest. As soon as that's done, we plan to schedule a deficiency walkthrough with the contractor and SEMA plus the CA. So certainly when we do that, any issues we see will flag, topsoil included, and they'll have to rectify that. So that will be looked at.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Counselor Nerda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question is for our clerk. I know you and I have been talking about property standards and lawns for the past while now. Now, how does our bylaw officer actively patrol? Does he go out or are these driven by complaints from residents?
Thank you, and through you, your worship. We have had the opportunity to become proactive. Now, we did have to, in essence, clean up some of the case files from the contractor that we had our services through before. We're getting into the busy season, so as complaints do come in, we are addressing those as they do come in. We certainly encourage residents to continue to submit their complaints to the bylaw inbox or to call us directly, but we are doing both proactive and retroactive.
And to follow up on that, when yards are not maintained and our bylaw officer does go out and issue notice, what is the standard for compliance? Do we follow a set of guidelines?
Sure. Thank you, and through you. To answer that question, we do have a set of provisions laid out in the tidy yard bylaw to deal with the standard of grass maintenance and as well as the general maintenance of the exterior of the home. If a property is in violation, what happens is we either get an initial complaint and then the officer goes out and investigates. If there is reason to issue a notice, we'd issue the notice and then follow the 21 standard timelined approach in the bylaw. we've been advised by legal that that is the best and most reasonable set of timeline as per what we would expect if we had to it be challenged in court. 21 days is what is reasonably expected of a reasonable person. And I know I keep repeating reasonable, but that is how they explained it to me. So that 21 days is that period.
One last follow-up to that.
Okay.
And what are we going to do, or what can we do about so-called repeat offenders who clean up their yards after the 20 days are up, they clean up their yards, debris accumulates, they get another notice, and we wait another 21 days.
Okay, thank you, and through you. So we do have provision in the bylaw to apply a staged approach to enforcement. This is being a ramped up set of fines. We've been recently made aware of this, I shall say, through conversations where we were investigating what we could do for properties that become in non-compliance frequently. So we have the opportunity to go through that avenue. I will say if a property does go through the cycle in good faith, we are to treat them as if they are back to square one. That's not to say if somebody had the same issue 3 or 4 times, but it's like, I guess if you get a speeding ticket, you don't automatically get your license taken away type thing. But I do understand that there are layers and different tenets to applying that staged and stepped approach to enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. My question is for Director of Infrastructure. Further to Councillor Nerda's question about Main Street repairs, and you made the reference to Burnham with the deficiencies. Is there a cost associated to the municipality or the county for the repairing these deficiencies?
Through your worship to the councillor, no, there's no cost to the municipality or the county for the asphalt repair work or the concrete repair work that's being done.
Thank you.
Any other business? Seeing none? Deferred items, nothing there. Communications from including Middlesex County. The plan for, I will just say that it's not in here yet, but the plan for hiring a new CAO is to hope to have someone in place by the end of June. I think that's a very aggressive timeline, but that's what we're shooting for. And so we'll see how the process goes. It's underway and there will be, the entire council is doing interviews. Instead it's just committee, it's the entire council. So, that's all I've got, I think, with the county. Bylaws.
Thank you, and through you. The recommendation is that bylaws 47 to 49 of 2025 be read a first and second time, please.
Councillor Dago, Councillor Nerda, all in favor? Carried.
And then that bylaws 68 of 2024, 47, 48, and 49 of 2025 be read a third and final time.
Councillor Irwin, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? Carried. Do need a motion to go into closed. And that is for section 239 2BC and I, municipal act as subject matters pertain to personal matters, about identifiable individuals, a proposed disposition of land by the municipality, and commercial financial information supplied in confidence, proposal for the operation of the arena canteen. Need a mover for that. Councillor Irwin, Councillor Nerda, all in favor? All right, let's just take a short break. Okay, yeah, also we have second part of that pursuant to section 239 2A of the Municipal Act for 2001 as the subject matter relates to the security of the property of the municipality, update regarding a cyber fraud incident. No, it's just head to head. All right, we'll go in closed and